Hey, this is Cam Kelly. Welcome to another Devil Talk. This week, as always, joined by Brent Pope.
Hey, good to be here.
And this week, joined by the legendary Kenton Smith.
How you doing?
All right, thank you. Thank you very much for coming down. Especially that, for those who are not aware, we record Devil Talk on a Thursday morning, which means that less than 12 hours ago, you were on the ice in one almighty game.
Yeah, it was a great game. Feeling the effects of last night for sure on the body today, but unfortunately another loss in overtime. It's something we got to sort out here.
Obviously, the Sheffield Steelers came to town. The whole game looked amazing all the way through. 11 seconds on the overtime clock.
You look. I was on the ice, unfortunately for that, and I looked up and I saw that, and I was, just hung my head in shame.
But it's not shame, is it? As far as I know, and again, I've never claimed to be the greatest expert in the world when it comes to ice hockey. What I will say from my experience of what I saw last night, A, I saw Sheffield playing a bit of a dirty game last night. I thought they played a dirty game. And B, that was just really sneaky. The last goal was kind of sneaky. They epitomised a Hollywood villain throughout the entire three periods, I think, last night.
Well, the thing with our building is when we score, there's such an eruption of excitement and noise, and when the other team scores, you almost feel like somebody's just killed you because it's like a morgue in there.
Yeah,
it is tough. It's a tough way to lose a game. There's never a good way to lose a game. That one last night was difficult because I think we were good enough to win it, and had opportunities. And Franny made some good comment about how it's a great rink to have a shot here in Cardiff. It's a smaller rink. It is actually easier for people to probably defend against. And what's your thoughts on that, to be able to get in shooting lanes and to be able to make it difficult for teams to actually execute on the power play?
I think it's easier here where you can actually, get in that shot lane, or you can jump on that guy in the corner a little quicker than you could in, let's say, in Nottingham or whatever.
Yeah.
Obviously, last night with the amount of power plays that we had, we scored two, which was good to see because we were shut out in Scotland, I believe, in the power play. But we get that many 5-on-3s. I think we had two, at least a minute and a half, 5-on-3 power plays, and then the one in overtime as well. You have to convert in order to win games like that. We didn't, and obviously that's something we got to work on before we head up to Braehead and next week here, actually, against Belfast.
Just quickly want to touch on last night's game again. 10 minutes on the clock. Surely the confidence must be riding high, because if you look at the game that you played compared to the game that Sheffield played, Cardiff basically played a better game. And let's face it, you had the majority of possession too.
Oh, for sure, yeah. I felt we outplayed Sheffield yesterday. We worked harder than them. Like you said, we had possession of the puck more, and that's why they were taking those penalties. They couldn't really keep up. I think, the last 10 minutes, personally for me, fatigue did start setting in. Unfortunately, Mark Richardson, sustained an injury in Scotland, and then he played through it for most of the game. But unfortunately, he took a knock again that put him out for the rest of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously we went back to 4D, and we had to step up and try to help out Richie in that situation where he could take that rest. But towards the end of the game, I was getting tired. The lungs were burning, the legs were burning. When that happens, for me, the brain stops to work, and you could see that when in overtime, when it was a 4-on-3, and then Legui just hit it off my stick, and I had Finnerty had a breakaway, and I just knew I was just like, please don't score, not now. Please.
Overtime record for the Cardiff Devils, not a great one. When you go into overtime, do you go in nervous based on the record?
I wouldn't say nervous. I think this year I've played a little more cautious in overtime, or tried to at least. And maybe that's what the problem is. Maybe you have to have the attitude of, force them, let them make mistakes, get all over them.
Yeah.
And, and that's what we did in Edinburgh, actually,
Well, I was going to say, we're focusing on last night, and I think we ought to. That was one match. Let's focus on the three from the weekend. All three away. All three couldn't be further away. Dundee, Fife, and Edinburgh.
Yeah, all one-goal wins. Kenton can reflect on it best, but it is difficult to make that journey to go up to Scotland and to get results, to get 3 consecutive wins in 3 consecutive nights, all by 1 goal. It probably shows the mental toughness that maybe Sheffield showed against us last night here in Cardiff in finding a way to win. So it's a real compliment to the guys and the effort they put forward last weekend.
And then last night, Sheffield come to town, and then this weekend you've got to go back up to Scotland.
Yeah.
Was there none of you that actually said, is there no way we can fit in Braehead on the Monday night? I know it's the 4th in a row, but honestly, think of your fuel bill. Think of the petrol. Come on, guys.
Well, yeah, I've never played a 4-and-4. I don't know if you have.
No, I haven't.
I think you'd probably be exhausted, but it's just I mean not even the thought of the game, but the thought of the journey up to Braehead after going to Scotland and returning in one weekend, and then the next weekend having to go and return again. That tires me just thinking about it, let alone the game.
Well, it is tough. And when 4 of the 10 teams are in Scotland, it's the most difficult journey for us because we're the furthest away from Scotland. So it has more of an impact on us as a club. So if you start teaching yourself these things, you start believing in it, and it starts becoming a mental hurdle. So you've got to just recognize that it's another opponent, and yeah, you got to travel to where you got to go to, but it's 2 points like it would be if we're going to Coventry, and you just got to focus on the task at hand.
Back from Scotland, let's go back to the Bay last night. Outside of the scoreline, everything else kind of worked. We discussed this earlier. Some of the big players last night, some of the big hitters. We discussed this before, actually. Josh Batch, I was very worried about. Because Josh Batch just is a lovely lad.
Yes, he is.
You know, and I seen him start on this guy last night, and I'm thinking to myself, don't do that. Yeah. Don't do that. Come on, just run away. Well, skate away. Look, you've got fast skates on. Well, I mean, he was outstanding.
Well, I'd like to hear what Kenton's view was on it, because I think it was started by Jason Hewitt. Yeah. And Josh is actually quite an unassuming character, but I've seen him push some guys around. He's a powerful man, and I don't know whether that was his first pro fight or not last night, but he found himself where anybody likes to be, or all of a sudden thrown in and just make it happen, and he made it happen.
He definitely did. You know, Hewitt definitely deserved it. He came up from behind on Josh and gave him a 2-hand to the back of the legs while Josh was obviously skating up. And I'm glad, Josh, he responded great, dropped the mitts, squared off, and gave him a tuning.
He really did.
He deserved it, and all the guys were proud of Batchy, and it was good to see. I'm sure Batchy was riding a high too. So.
Yeah, I bet he was. Sammy Smith scored a cracking goal last night. That was great for him.
Yeah, definitely. It was great to see Sammy score. Obviously, you hear about that second year little blip, and for Sammy to get on the scoreboard against Sheffield, that's great. I heard, unfortunately, I didn't see it. I was on the bench trying to catch my breath, so I missed it.
Okay.
So I heard it was a nice goal.
Yeah, Ben Davis was on. It was Ben Davis's 21st birthday.
That's
last
right.
night,
Yeah.
So happy birthday to Benny Davis.
Yeah, definitely.
Ben, in fairness, is a young budding, top flight hockey player in this league, and every time he gets the puck, he makes good things happen. So he laid that one on to Sammy Smith. He also was a part of the goal that led to Mark Richardson scoring on the first one. Took a shot on goal, came out of the corner, and got a feed. So. He's right in the middle of everything too, is Ben Davis. So, full credit to him. And
didn't he get man of the match?
I'm not sure who did.
He did get man of the match.
He did, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he had a big crowd there last night, a big fanfare. And that's the nice thing about Ben is because he works so hard, he's able to make opportunities for himself because he's got a good crowd and it's a big occasion for him. His 21st. You want to mark it with a significant performance, and he did. But he's just got such industry about how he works and how he just continues to be relentless that it's nice to see. And it's interesting watching some other guys make comments about Ben. He never gets phased, if he gets hit hard. He just kind of keeps working, never reacts like I think he's entitled. So he's a real credit to himself, and it was a great performance by him last night.
All in all, I can't think of a player that I saw on the ice for the Cardiff Devils put in anything less than 100% last night. I thought, and again, we've discussed this earlier, I thought the way that the entire team played together was just a much better game of hockey to watch than what Sheffield brought to the table. Again, unfortunately, the scoreline remained what it was, but certainly with and see if I can get away with this, right? With a short bench. Yeah. Like, I could so blag that. I could get away with that, can't I? All right, I could drop that into my conversation on a daily basis now. With a short bench with so many players out at the moment with injury, you're actually playing out your socks, aren't you?
Yeah, the guys are playing great. We're definitely, rallying around each other and, just coming together as a team, game by game. Playing with the 8 imports, 7 imports, because Scott Maska's wife had a baby, so he was missing for a few of those games. Mm-hmm. The guys, just that's what we're there for, is to pick the guy up next to you and give everything you got.
Well, outstanding form at the moment, and long may it continue. Good luck this weekend in Braehead, and obviously next Wednesday, massive match as well. Good luck with that. Pass all our best on to the rest of the boys. Thanks, Kenton, for coming in.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Brent.
Cheers, Ken.